Good afternoon, folks. Welcome to this webinar on constructing your own small case. This is brought to you by Small Case Technologies in association with Zerodha. I am Arjun Bharadwaj and I will take you through this short webinar. For those of you who do not know what small cases are basically portfolios of stocks or ETFs which are based on a particular theme or a strategy. For those of you who have not seen what small cases are or who have not accessed small case, all you need to do is go to smallcase.zerodha.com, and after that you can just log in with your kite credentials. Once you log in with your kite credentials, let me just log in. You will be able to see lot of different small cases, lot of different portfolios which are based on some sort of an idea, theme or a strategy. There are 35 plus small cases which you can explore, and whichever you like you can invest in these small cases with just one click. For instance, some of the examples are electric mobility small case, which are basically stocks which will do well because of electric vehicle ecosystem in India. Low risk smart beta is a quantitative portfolio which basically makes sure that you invest in large cap stocks with the lowest risk possible. There is Great Indian Middle Class small case, which is basically bunch of stocks which will do well if the middle class income in India grows. These small cases consist of bunch of stocks along with particular weightage which you can just invest with just one single click. In addition to this, you can also create your own small case. In case you have an idea of your own, you can create your own small cases. For instance, I like TCS and say I like Reliance. You can just create a small case and you can select a particular weighing scheme, or you can change the weighing scheme according to your need, and you can invest in a small case like this. With just a few clicks you will be able to buy these stocks together and you can track these as a portfolio. Now coming to the webinar in hand, right? We have seen many people constructing their portfolio through small cases. You can create a small case of your own, but the thing is, most of it is not done scientifically. So we thought in this webinar we could give insights on how these small cases are actually built. There are 35 plus small cases on the system. How these small cases are built by our research team. But the thing is, this is not an easy task. So for you to understand how small cases are created, it is necessary for you to know the mathematics behind this portfolio construction. So we are planning a series of 4 webinars. This is just the first webinar, and in this I will introduce the absolute basics of constructing a portfolio. So we will basically talk about returns, calculating the risk, and how these two are connected. Alright. I will also talk about how you can get this data for analysis purposes. So you need to have basic 10th standard sort of mathematics knowledge. Along with that, it helps if you already know a bit about finance. Now, the entire financial industry is filled with jargons. Even if you have been in the stock market for one day, right, you will hear jargons left, right and center. It can actually put MBAs to shame. So you will hear things like stock A is volatile compared to stock B. Beta of this stock is more than beta of other stock. 5-year CAGR of Reliance is 20%, while 5-year CAGR of TCS is 12%. Then one random advisor will pop out of somewhere and suddenly they will say, "Sir, diversification, sir," and you are sort of left wondering what all this means. Now, as I explained before, the point is, lot of these things are basically based on class 10 mathematics. For a serious investor in equities, it is absolutely necessary that you should understand the mathematics behind it, and you can only do it if you have constructed your own portfolio in a scientific manner, right? uh, in a very scientific manner. So, like as any scientist needs to do, right, the first thing a scientist asks is, what is the data? How do I get the data, right? So what is the data that we are talking about? We are talking about some stock data, right? So the most basic data of a stock is price of the stock. Now let us see how we can get this, right? As most of the things in the world, it's very easy to get the stock data. uh, Google Finance has an amazing tool through which you can basically get the stock data. Lot of different small cases, lot of different you can just go to Google Sheets, sheets.google.com, and just open one of the Google Sheets, and you can actually get all the stock data right here. So what you need to do is enter a formula, Google Finance, all right. Then you put in, say, NSE, because you're looking at NSE data. You can as well put BSE, there's no problem. Say I put in Reliance, all right. Then I put in price. Then I have to put in the start date. Say I want it for last 1 year, all right, and I put in an end date, 17th. So basically this is 1 year data, and I want the daily data. Now as soon as I put this and I click on enter, voila, I have the entire data for the last 1 year for Reliance. This is for Reliance. So I'll go to the formula once more. Google Finance, the ticker NSE colon Reliance, price, date, the start date, the end date, and whether you want daily data or monthly data or yearly data. So if you just click over here, it will also ask whether you want it weekly. So if I just put in weekly, I'll get weekly data. So as you can see, it starts from 28/12/2019, the next is 27/12/2019, 3rd January 2020, and so on. So for this purpose, I will just put in data as daily data. Now the question is, how do I know what is this? It's very simple. All you need to do is go to Google Finance, finance.google.com, and you can just search for, say, Reliance, and whatever is written over here, you just need to put in the same thing in the spreadsheet. And if you just put it as NSE Reliance, or I can say I put it as NSE TCS. This is TCS data for the last 1 year. Why just 1 year? I can even have it as much as 5 years, say 2015, right? TCS as of 2015, or Reliance as of 2015. And the good times of Reliance, when Reliance used to trade it to 500 rupees as opposed to 2000 rupees right now. As you can see, there are 1236 data points, which is basically for entire 5 years. Now in case you want the same thing for Nifty, Nifty is, again, you just have to copy the same formula, put this in, and you just need to change this particular ticker. So for Nifty 50, as you can see, it is slightly different. It is index NSE hyphen colon Nifty underscore 50. So you just put this the same thing in over here. There's an extra space which always gets added. You just need to remove that extra space, and once you do that, right, from 2015 you have got Nifty closing price every day for the last 5 years in an Excel sheet. With this, we can sort of start our analysis. So because we have all the data that we require, right, to start a portfolio construction in a scientific manner, the first thing we require is the data, and we have this data. It is not just price. For instance, if you want to know what volume is there, you can just put in volume over here, and you will get the volume data also. So for our purposes of creating a portfolio, we will just look at price data. Now that we have our index value, Nifty index value from 2015 to 2020, now we can look at what we can do with this data. Well, obviously the first thing which comes to my mind is calculating returns, right? So now returns, there are different sort of returns which can be calculated. Now the formula for return is ending price minus starting price divided by starting price. So basically you take two time periods, you take a later time period, you take an earlier time period, you take the difference between the two and you divide it by the earlier time period ka price. So for instance, over here, the return as on 21st December 2015 as compared to 18th December 2015 can be easily calculated. Basically this price divided by this price minus 1, okay, and this comes in a ratio format. You can multiply this by 100 to figure out what it is in percentage basis. So basically on 21st December 2015, Nifty returned 0.93%. However, you can check the same thing for Reliance. So for Reliance just returned 0.02%. Now we can do the same thing for all the data points that we have, and this is how you basically calculate what is called the daily return. So this is the daily return. Now on every day it changes. So first day on 21st December 2015 we had 0.93%. The next day it fell. This is basically the data that you see on your Kite platform on a daily basis, right? This is the ups and downs of the market as such. Now that is the return, and the return for any time period can be calculated in the same way. I just showed you what daily returns was. Now if I want to calculate 1 year return as on 2016, actually let me do one thing. Let me go down. Return, 1 year return, if you had invested on 17th now December 2020, what would the return have been? So basically taking 1 year return, right? So I take the value as on 17th December, and I take the value as on 17th December in 2019. I do the same thing, -1, and I can show it in percentage terms. So Nifty has basically given around 13% return in the last 1 year. So this is how you calculate returns. 13%, right? It's crazy, like, because it went down like 40%. Now overall we are up for the year, which is a crazy thing. But anyway, this is how we calculate the 1 year return. So the return can be calculated for any time period in this particular way. Now, one of the things that people always forget is that returns are not additive. What that means is, I cannot sum up the daily returns to get the returns for the entire period of time. So the easiest way to look at it is, assume you have 100 rupees and you basically lost 50% of that amount. So basically, if 50% of the amount is gone, you have only 50 rupees remaining. Now, let us assume that from after this, you got a 50% return. Now, the 50% of 50 is 75 rupees. So, if you look at it, you went down 50%, you went up 50%. However, on an overall basis, you have gone down from 100 to 75. So, which is basically minus 25%. However, you just cannot add minus 50 and plus 50 and say that your returns is 0, right? This is one very rookie mistake that a lot of people do. People think that you can just add the returns. So if I made 10% in 1 year, lost 5% in another year and made another 10% in the year 3, I have not made 15%, that is 10 minus 5 plus 10. I have not made 15% return. My return is actually different from that, right? So basically, when you average out, you just cannot add it. So that brings us to the other concept about what is the average return that you can get. So in this, there is this concept of CAGR, which is compound annual growth rate. Basically, what CAGR does is, it whatever be the time period that you have taken, it basically averages it to see what would be the annual growth rate. Okay, so the formula of CAGR is given by final value by initial value to the power of 1 by n. Here n is the number of years minus 1. So basically, we have 5 years return of Nifty over here. So our final value of Nifty is, as you can see, 13,740. Our initial value of Nifty is 7761.95, right? So my CAGR n, which is that number of years, is actually 5. So my CAGR is given as final value divided by initial value, right, to the power of 1 by 5 minus 1. Now if I convert it into percentage, it is 12.1%. Now as you can see, we have this divided by this minus 1 is just the plain returns. This is also called the absolute return. So Nifty has given 77%. If you had invested money in on 18th December 2015, you would have got 77% return, absolute return in Nifty. However, if you look at what is the annualized growth rate, that means every year how much money did you earn. So in first a year, on a basis of 100, you have earned 112.1. Now in the year 2, on the base of 112.1, you have earned another 12.1% extra. So overall you have earned 12.1% CAGR. This is a very common term which is used. It It's also called annualized return. So you have earned 12.1%. As you can see, while the average return per year is 12.1%, you cannot just do this return, absolute return divided by 5. These are different values. Sometimes they are close enough, but they are actually different returns. You just can't do total return divided by number of years to get the yearly return. You have to calculate the CAGR formula, which is final value divided by initial value to the power of 1 divided by number of years. Okay, so sometimes what happens is, in this particular case, there were actually 5 years, exactly 5 years, which was available to me, but generally that is not the case. So there is a interesting way to calculate the CAGR when you do not have the when the number of months is not exact, number of years is not a whole number. Say, let me just randomly take, say, 2017 and 12, right? I do not know how many days this actually is. Now I want to calculate the CAGR over here. I know what my initial value is. If I look at my final value, it is 13,000 something. Right. Now, but the thing is, n is the time in years is not 5. It is less than 5 because I am starting in 2017. But I need to calculate what is the exact number of years from a particular date to this. So an easy way to do this would be as follows. So you count the number of days which you are basically taking. So here I will count all the days from my start date to the final date. So that there are 932 days. Now in a calendar year, there are 255 days. So you can approximate it to be 255 working days basically. And you can just divide by this, which will give you the number of years. So basically the random date that I chose to today is 3.65 years. Now if I have to calculate the CAGR, I have to do final value divided by initial value to the power of 1 divided by the time in years minus 1. Basically it has given 12% annualized return as if I calculate for the last 3.65 years. Similarly, I can calculate, so CAGR can be calculated from any start date to any end date. So you have this concept of having 2-year CAGR, 3-year CAGR, 5-year CAGR. A lot of people mention this when they are saying the returns of a particular stock or a portfolio. So that is what it means. So a 5-year CAGR means taking the last 5 years data and calculating the annualized return, the CAGR, through this particular formula is called a 5-year CAGR. If I do the same thing for 3 years, it means it's a 3-year CAGR. So that is CAGR. This is also called annualized return. The other concept is of rolling return. So rolling return is very interesting. Now you can start investing at any period of time, right, for a certain period. So what this is where timing the market sort of a thing, if I have to analyze who timed the market better and things like that, that is where rolling return comes into play. Now for rolling return, let us just take an example of 1 year rolling return. Let me just delete everything. Let me start this again, say from, let me just take from 2015. 12, 17. Which is the last 5-year data. Now, what I assume is I invested on this particular day. Say person 1 invested on this particular day. Person 2 invested on this particular day. And all of them, similarly, X number of people, all of them invested on this particular day. So, person 1 on 18th, person 2 on 21st December 2015, and I'll assume that everyone invested in this particular portfolio for exactly 1 year, right? So, let me go to 17th December 2016. So, person 1, right, till 16th is that. Awesome. So, let me just do this. So, person 1 was invested till 16th December. All right. And this is the return that they got. Oops. If I had invested on 18th December 2015 and I had held it for 1 year, which is 16th December 2016, I would have just got 4.86% return in Nifty. Now, person 2 who invested on 1 day later would have got 3.45%, 3.81% for so on. Now, as you can see, a person who invested on 16 December 2015 had only 5% return, while someone who had invested slightly later, on January 2017, had 11.20% return. Now, what a rolling return helps us do is how if a portfolio manager or anyone who is managing the portfolio, how they have performed through the entire cycle for different holding periods. Now, if I have to plot this, right, I just plotted the rolling returns. Basically, on the x-axis you see the dates, and on the y-axis you see the return. Now, if a person had invested at any point of time during this particular period and had held it for exactly 1 year, they could have made anywhere between plus 30 odd percent to anywhere between minus 35%. So, anything could have been possible. Now, this is called a 1 year rolling return. Ideally, you would not want to see such a dip. This is the coronavirus dip that we saw in March. You would not ideally want to see such a dip. And people analyze this rolling return, right, to see how consistently the portfolio has performed. For instance, if a person had invested sometime in 2019, they would have and they had held it for exactly 1 year, they would have got a minus 35% return on their portfolio. That is what the rolling return means. So, this what I just calculated is 1 year rolling return. Similarly, you can calculate rolling returns for 2 years, 3 years, or any period of time, or any number of years. Now that you have understood what returns are and what the different kinds of returns are, let us talk about risk. So, risk is a very vague concept, right? The thing with risk is that there is no one number for risk. It's because it can be sort of measured in variety of the ways. That's not the case with return, right? A return is absolute. You go and ask anyone, what's the 1 year return of this stock? Everyone is going to give you the same answer. But now, if you go and ask that same person, what is the risk of the stock? They are just going to say high, moderate, low. It is actually because everyone has a different measure of what a risk is. Because it is relative, right? It is not an absolute measure. So we can only estimate risk based on past behavior, or estimate risk based on what you think is going to happen in future. Now this is an estimation. It can be close to what actually happens, or sometimes it may not. It is completely based on past behavior that we measure this risk. So different people use different methodologies. So some people use standard deviation or volatility of a stock to measure the risk. Some people use something called beta. Uh, Big banks, investment banks, for instance, or any brokerage houses, they use value at risk metric to measure this risk. Now, if you want to measure risk of a particular company, debt to equity ratio, right, which basically tells how much loan the particular company has taken, is also can be used as a risk measure, right? So as you can see, while return is definitive, risk is actually a reasonably vague concept, because there is not one number attached to what risk is. Okay, so there are different kinds of risk, right? The most basic one is the counterparty risk, right? This is the sort of risk that you will have in day-to-day transactions. Now you think about this, like a friend of yours comes and asks you for a loan. Now you think this friend is trustworthy, so you go and give that loan to him. Say it's 1 lakh rupees or whatever that amount is. Now you have assumed what is called counterparty risk against your friend. Now if this friend of yours does not pay you back, you will face the loss. This is the most basic level of risk that is there everywhere. Thankfully, when you're trading on the exchange, as is the case in equity, like if you're in stock market, you'll be trading on the exchange, the counterparty risk is minimal, as exchange has a mechanism to minimize it. I will not go into how exchange minimizes it, but yeah, counterparty risk is there, but it is very minimal if you're trading on the exchange. Now coming to market risk, right? This is the risk that we see in the equity market when the stock prices go up and down, right? In this series of webinar, right, there are going to be 3 or 4 more webinars in this regard. We will be talking mainly about market risk. Standard deviation volatility is actually a measure of market risk. Now there is another risk which is called a default risk. This is another different type of risk. This is generally the all or nothing sort of a risk, right? Company has issued a bond to raise money. Now the company goes bankrupt and say it doesn't pay you back. Kingfisher, Jet Airways, bunch of examples like this. So this is called the default risk, that the company has gone bankrupt. Now if you are holding a bond of the company, you will lose significant portion of that. But when everything is going well, it does not go up and down too much, right? So if you have bought a debt mutual fund, for instance, it does not really go up and down. Every day you will get that 0.02% increase on a daily basis, and suddenly out of the blue, if some company defaults, it will suddenly drop quite significantly, right? So this is called the default risk, and this is generally there in bonds. Coming to market risk, right? This is the main type of risk that we will deal with in the coming webinars. So it is generally accepted that large cap stocks have low risk, while mid cap stocks and small cap stocks have high risk. Now I want to check that out, whether that is actually true or not. I do not know what will come out of it. Maybe Reliance is way more volatile, like it's way more risky than a small cap company. Maybe, I do not know. So in the next webinar, we will see how we can use standard deviation to measure risk of a stock. We will also talk about diversification. Now generally, you would have got an advisor who will say, if you diversify your portfolio, your risk will reduce. I want to show mathematically, or rather, I want to prove mathematically how risk reduces while increasing the returns if you diversify. I will also build a model of assigning weightage to different stocks and how to build a simple two stock portfolio. All these things I will cover in the next webinar. I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. I hope you guys learned something new. This was actually a very basic webinar. We will get into the nitty gritties and into decent amount of mathematics in the next webinar that we will have, which will most likely be within another 1 or 2 weeks. Meanwhile, you can check out Smallcase platform, and if you have not invested through the Smallcase platform, I would suggest that you check out the platform and invest as soon as possible. You just have to go to smallcase.zerodha.com, go to the discover section, go to all small cases. You will see around 35 different small cases. These are all portfolios which have been made through algorithms which have been done internally, and you can invest in these small cases with just one single click of a button. You can just go to, say, low risk smart beta, click on invest now. There are small cases which are where you can invest as low as 200 rupees. And they go all the way up to 70,000 rupees, as in the case of low risk smart beta. So you can check out, and depending on what sort of small cases you want to invest in or what is the amount of money that you can invest in, you can check out all the different portfolios which are available over here. Thank you guys for attending this webinar. I hope to catch all of you soon for the next webinar, which, as I said before, is going to cover all these different topics. How to actually measure risk of a stock using standard deviation. What does diversification mean? Basically proving that if I diversify my portfolio, my returns are going to increase while my risk is going to decrease. Assigning weightage to different stocks and see how it changes the returns and the risk. The other is building a simple two-stock portfolio. So these are the things that I will cover in the next webinar. Hope to catch you guys soon. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you.